thank you all for coming tonight. As you can tell, this is kind of a non-traditional way to celebrate an end of life, but I truly think that this is what my dad would have wanted. So make sure that you enjoy his favorite foods, spare rib, Chick-fil-A, and lots of sugar. And if you get a chance, please, we had my dad's name put on a baseball bat up here that we would love everyone to sign to really memorialize all the people that were important in his life that were here. Thinking about what I was going to say about my dad, where do you start? Officially Charles Peters Kowalsky, but he was known to most of us as, Chuck, Chuckles, Chucky Boy, Captain Chuck Duck, Chuck the ball player, Dad, and of course most affectionately, Pop Pop. My dad wasn't someone that stressed much about life, which means that my mom had to stress double. But the fact that my dad didn't stress about life, he didn't want anybody else to stress either. All of you know my dad, and you knew that. He was the type of person that would have done anything for anyone at any time. But accepting help and a favor from my dad means that you were also accepting his very own brand of unpredictability and sometimes a little bit of unreliability, which either came in the form of asking him to fix a leaky faucet that took no less than 7 trips to Home Depot, asking for an oil to gas conversion that he finished 3 years later, or that he would break down on the way to come get you after he's picked you up, or in our case, on the way home from JFK with 2 babies in tow. PSA, AAA will not come get you on the JFK Expressway, but JFK is happy to tow you to their impound for $250, where AAA is then happy to help you and meet you there. But our inside family joke, whenever Dad's luck struck, was that you've been chucked. And I think many of you have been chucked over the last 70 years that many of you have known him. And even towards the end of his life, my dad chucked medical science many, many times. He survived multiple heart attacks, strokes, a brain bleed, diabetes, COPD, you name it, he beat it. But at the end there, when the doctors told us that really, they had done everything that he could and they wanted to make him comfortable, we agreed. And, through a very tearful decision, DJ, Laura, and I, sat beside him and we just waited for what we knew was coming. So the doctors told us we'd have a few hours, certainly less than a day, and it was hard to accept that my dad would soon be gone. The night got later and we got tired and we thought, hey, you know what, maybe Dad is waiting for us to leave so that he can pass in peace, like so many stories we've had. So we went home and we didn't sleep, we stared at our phones all night and the call didn't come. We showed up at the hospital the next day, and after being unconscious and not eating for 7 days, my dad popped his eyes open, started telling stories, mostly about his brothers and the mischief they had gotten into, and then asked DJ if he could go out and get him Chick-fil-A. And we looked at each other and we said, we've been chucked. And the amazing CCU nurses at Huntington Hospital couldn't believe it, so we had to explain to them what being chucked meant. After a few days, he rallied, and my brother and his brother and lots of family and friends flew in from across the country to spend some amazing quality time with Dad, which was really nothing short of a miracle. But then they told us it was time to move him over to hospice. Shortly thereafter, Dad, closed his eyes and still hung in there for another week, and we couldn't believe it. But, we didn't explain to the hospice people what being chucked was because, they were the hospice people. So my theory is that Dad actually made it to the pearly gates way before June 5th, and when St. Peter took a look down at the Book of Chuck, he raised his eyebrows, and my dad replied, let me explain something to you, which you've all heard many times in the past. But the one thing that I'll always remember my dad for is how proud he was of us, because he never missed an opportunity to let us know that. Whether it was a good grade on a test, a soccer game, a school performance, a horseback riding lesson, Dad always let us know how proud he was, and nothing made him more proud than his grandchildren, Ben and Jules. You know that I mentioned my dad beat medical science, and most of you here would agree that the last 10 years of my life, my dad really lived for his grandchildren. And they are what kept him going. And any of you that have had any length conversation with him in the last 10 years, I'm sure did not escape an anecdote, a story, or a brag about his amazing grandkids, because they really were his everything. And we will carry on his memory, and even though Dad's passing leaves a huge hole in our hearts, a void in our lives, and a lot less candy in our candy cabinet these days, we are eternally grateful for the time that we did have with my dad. And his body gave out long before his mind and his true heart did, and we are grateful that now he can rest in peace. So with that, his granddaughter Julianne is going to sing one verse of one of his favorite songs, and then we'll ask you all to join us in just a little bit, if you'd like, to walk down to Milldam Field, where my dad spent many an evening, too many by my mom's count, playing ball, and we'd like to say a little prayer at home plate to send Dad off to his final All-Star game.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Thank you again all for being here. Seeing all of your smiling faces and enjoying his favorite foods would have made my dad the happiest man in the world. So thank you.